Hello to the Packer Franchise podcast. I'm Rose Packer Franchise, and we are about 3 weeks away from the opening kickoff in the NFL between the Texans and Chiefs. And as for the Green Bay Packers, they will travel to the cold heart of Minnesota, even though it'll probably be around the 70s in early September. But, still week one matchup on the road. But with football season almost in horizon and training camp already begun, I want to tell you guys my 5 players to watch during the season. And make sure to watch all the way through the video because I do have an honorable mention for a player that I feel like can be a lot of help to this team. So stick around for that. But first, let's get started with the 5 players that I believe we're going to watch. And right off the bat, you're going to see some players on this list. A few that you're probably going to be thinking, well, he may improve, but, hopefully he does. But based on last season's stats, might not be true, which I get it. But, hopefully this is a big year for all these gentlemen that are going to be playing. And mostly, there's third years, second years. And I do have a rookie with A.J. Dillon. And these aren't alphabetical order, obviously. So, there's no, number 1 or number 5. They're all players that I feel equally should be on the lookout for the season, as I believe they'll make a huge impact on this team. So let's get started. And right off the bat, we'll give you the 5 players that I think is going to be performing very well, or you should watch this season. And those players are A.J. Dillon, Robert Tonyan, Rashaan Gary, Equinemius St. Brown, and Shannon Sullivan. And like I said, I do have an honorable mention at the end of the video, so be sure to stick around for that. So let's get started. The first player, obviously, is going to be A.J. Dillon, who was drafted from Boston College in the 2020 NFL Draft. Now, at first, many people weren't a fan of this pick because with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams in the backfield, along with Dexter Williams, people feel like we didn't need a running back. Now, me personally, you can't really draft grade a draft on, after the picks. And, obviously, with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, at first I'm like, well, do we really need a running back? Another one. But, after, looking into A.J. Dillon earlier in the year and looking at his stats now, I feel like this could be a great opportunity for, the Green Bay's running game, which they don't have to rely much on Aaron Jones. And you look at most of these teams that are making the Super Bowl, they have a dynamic running game with not just one running back, but 2. With the Niners last year with Tevin Coleman and Raheem Mostert, and, sometimes with the Patriots in 2018 with, Sonny Michel and James White and all them. So the Green Bay running game can definitely take a step up, which I'm not saying, Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams weren't that great. I'm just saying with another, beast kind of like A.J. Dillon, it will help a lot. Aaron Jones more of the speedy, strong back, and Jamal Williams more of the hefty power back. So with A.J. Dillon, I feel like this could be a big improvement in the running game and give Aaron Jones a little bit, to rest too. And I get it, college and pros are a lot different, but I feel like if A.J. Dillon can have the season like he did last year, he probably won't have, obviously he won't probably touch 1,000, but he could probably get a few hundred yards if he can get some touches. And that depends too on how Matt LaFleur likes him. But, based on his stats, he ran over 1,600 yards and he had 14 touchdowns. So, honestly, kind of similar, almost similar to Aaron Jones' stats last year. And like I said, I know college and pros are different, but, if that's the sign of things to come, then, I'm on a first-class flight to it. But yeah, 1,685 yards, 14 touchdowns, 5.3 yards per carry, which is ridiculous. And not much on the receiving end, but, 195 receiving yards and a touchdown, and with almost 1,900 total yards, which is insane. So that's the first player who I believe is going to make a big impact on this team, or, have some help. And I get the dude has big legs. And, hopefully he can use his legs to get 80-yard touchdowns, 60-yard touchdowns. So I'm excited to see A.J. Dillon play. Glad he's on the Packers. And, Yeah, definitely excited to see how him, Jones, and the rest of our backfield will do this season. So that's one of the players who I'm looking forward to season, and I feel like you should watch. The second one I believe you should watch is Robert Tonyan. Now, last year he didn't have a obviously he didn't have a great season. Well, you know, he didn't get much playing time, so the stats not going to be the most impressive. But 10 receptions, 100 yards, and a touchdown. That's averaging 10 yards a catch. But with the reports of him working out with George Kittle and the tight end position being wide open, maybe besides Mercedes Lewis being a top spot, Robert Tonyan could potentially be a number 2 tight end for Green Bay, or it could be Jay Sternberger. Who knows? But Robert Tonyan has great hands. He could definitely ball, and I feel like he can definitely help improve the Packers tight end position. We have already a stacked tight end position, especially with the drafting of Hosea in the 3rd round from Cincinnati. This can definitely be a big step for the tight end group too. Another group who I'm really looking forward to. Now, the third guy who I believe should be watched on this list is Rashaan Gary, and I understand a lot of fans aren't going to get the most excitement because his season last year wasn't the best, especially for a early 1st-round pick. There was a lot of speculation last year with this draft pick that, people weren't happy with the pick, honestly. And, 2 sacks, 21 combined tackles, 3 tackles for losses. And also, it's kind of hard when you have Za'Darius and Preston Smith on your roster along with Kenny Clark to overshadow it. So, I feel like this could be a big step for Rashaan Gary. I feel like with, the way his season went he didn't have a terrible season. He had a season that was good. I just think his season was very overlooked with the Smith brothers and Kenny Clark. So, hopefully he can get a few more sacks, but I believe Rashaan Gary can definitely take a step in the right direction. Get a few more sacks, get a few more tackles, and he can get his name recognized more. He's not a bad player. He can definitely get the quarterback very well. A lot of pressure, makes quarterback throwaways and all that. So I'm excited to see how he does this upcoming season. And it's going to be a big one with a lot of great quarterbacks like Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, Matt Ryan. So he's got his work cut for him. Okay, that's a bit of a technical issue. My apologies. I forgot to add an audio to this one. But the fourth player that I feel like should be watched more or looked at more this season is Equanimeous St. Brown. He definitely had an injury last season, so he was out for the whole season. But when he played in Green Bay in 2018, me personally, I thought he was a very underrated receiver, and I was looking forward to him playing last year because I thought he was going to be taking a step in the right direction last season. I think he was actually on my top 5 players to look forward to last season also because the dude has great hands. Especially in that San Francisco game, with the sideline catch and the Jets game too. Dude can definitely be a solid, receiver for us. And obviously he won't make the top 2 receivers, but he can definitely help provide, some yardage and help us get in a great position to win. And, with Devin Funchess out of the way, people honestly forgot about Equanimeous St. Brown after his injury. Yeah, I know people are focused more on getting, the veteran players like, Antonio Brown, Josh Gordon, Des Bryant. But we're getting St. Brown back, so we're getting another receiver, technically. And he's been pretty good for his time in Green Bay. I'm not going to lie. I really look forward to seeing him play again, hopefully. I hope he has a healthy season because he's a very underrated receiver, and I feel like he's definitely given us a great opportunity to win a football game. When he's out there, 21 receptions, 328 yards. The longest reception he had was 54 yards, which I believe was against the Jets too. So hopefully he stays healthy, and hopefully, yeah, just hope for a healthy season. All right, and the last player on my 5 players to watch out for is a guy that I feel like should get a lot more credit than what he does, than what he's getting right now, and a lot more recognition, and that's Chandon Sullivan. Chandon Sullivan, if you look at the stats right now, you're probably thinking like, well, only 1 pick and 30 tackles, but his pass coverage on receivers he's been covering has been phenomenal. If you look at his highlight tapes, he's been on receivers. I mean, the Anthony Miller catch out of bounds in the Bears game was a big reason, and the Randall Cobb tip in the air to get picked out by Tramon Williams. That was all Chandon Sullivan. And Chandon Sullivan had a pick in the Dallas game, and he's just been a solid, defensive player for the Packers, and definitely a player that I see getting more and more reps. He didn't get many reps last season, but when he did, he made them count. Great coverage, in deep backfield, and he can definitely cover anything, middle, deep. I feel like Chandon Sullivan is definitely a great deal in Green Bay. I feel like he's definitely on the horizon to be a solid player for our defense. And especially with this season coming up, like I said, with our schedule too, he's gonna face some really tough offenses with the Saints offense and the Falcons offense, Bucks offense. And yeah, so definitely a big step for Chandon Sullivan as we get ready for this 2020 season. So that's all the players that I have, and I do want to give an honorable mention. I wanted to put him on a list, but I feel like, I don't know. I mean, he's an honorable mention list, but I want to talk about him anyways. And that is the Canadian Football League star, Reggie Bealton. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that last name. I think that's correct. Green Bay signed him earlier in the offseason. He's definitely had a lot of success with the team, the Stampedes. His 2019 stats: 100 receiving yards, 1,440 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 14.2 averaging, yards per catch. He's definitely been a star in the Canadian Football League, but with his camp highlights, I've seen Aaron Rodgers throw the ball to him. He's been having a terrific camp. So, hopefully, Green Bay keeps him around, and that's like the thing why preseason was canceled. Like, we won't see guys like him balling out in the preseason. So I hope he gets a good opportunity to shine. But yeah, so a little bit of recap: 5 players to watch: A.J. Dillon, Robert Tonyan, Rashaan Gary, Equanimous St. Brown, Chandon Sullivan, and my honorable mention was Reggie Bealton. So, Packers football is back in 3 weeks, but at the same time, and also if you have people that would like to be on a podcast, especially like rival teams, like for example, we played Minnesota week 1. I would like to have a Viking fans on here just to get their perspective. But any fellow Packer fans that would like to join, you can reach me on Instagram at Packer.franchise. Just DM and all that. But alrighty, guys. You have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Go Pack Go.